American quiltmaker and illustrator Sarah Mary Taylor was born in 1916, deep in the Mississippi Delta, just south of Yazoo City. Sarah Mary would go on to be internationally recognized as a gifted quiltmaker whose work was and continues to be widely exhibited, published, and studied. Sarah Mary learned to sew patchwork when she was just 9 years old. Her mother, Pearlie Posey, who would also become a well-known quiltmaker, taught her daughter how to piece patchwork by having her help sew bed linens for the family. Sarah Mary left home at age 15 and began a life of strenuous work, picking cotton, cooking, and taking positions as a general housekeeper. After she married and had children, Sarah Mary made quilts for her family. But it wasn't until she retired and moved to Yazoo City in the 70s that she began to make quilts to sell. The decision to do it came from the need to earn income in retirement. Also, because in 1977, her aunt, quiltmaker Pecolia Warner, was featured in a short documentary produced by the Center for Southern Folklore. Pecolia was earning money selling quilts, so Sarah Mary decided to try that too. The quilts she produced would be the ones to bring her wide acclaim. She did make tops that were just pieced patchwork, but Sarah Mary is best known for her applique. Hands, feet, birds, animals, people, signs and symbols sprinkle across her quilts like tossed confetti. The shapes and figures she used were inspired by what she saw in the world around her. She got ideas from television, magazines, catalogs, newspapers, and everyday objects in her home. Once she had a form in her mind, Sarah Mary would create a template, often out of a cereal box, and use that to trace around. Then she would cut out her pieces and applique them onto her top. Like the other quilt makers in her family, Sarah Mary's quilts were mostly made of material from old dresses and other retired textiles. Combined, these kinds of fabric scraps create visual excitement. The eye can't help but move from one block or strip to another, seeking the next surprise. Many of Sarah Mary's quilts include words and phrases. Sometimes the letters appear on their own, other times they're tossed alongside her abstract forms and shapes. The words might spell a name or location, such as Yazoo. She even stitched her home address onto one quilt. Other quilts contain references from the Bible. When first getting acquainted with Sarah Mary Taylor's quilts, it can be hard to decipher some of the words that appear. Certain letters might be reversed, some words aren't spelled in the same way we usually see them. But the more of her quilts you look at, the easier it is to get the message. For being made in a quiet town deep in the Mississippi Delta, Sarah Mary's quilts went a long way. In 1985, she was commissioned to make a quilt for the movie The Color Purple. She chose to create a version of a hands quilt she had previously made, using her own hand as the template. Private collectors and museums continue to seek out her work. This flag quilt, made by Sarah Mary in the 1970s, is now in the permanent collection of the Smithsonian. She also produced hundreds of drawings that have garnered praise in the art world and are often exhibited on their own or alongside her textiles. Sarah Mary Taylor's quilts practically vibrate with energy and personality. Some of the quilts are so bright in color they seem to glow from within. Her creative decisions produced iconic quilt art. Generations of women managed to create beautiful, original quilts while enduring the ravages of slavery and later under the oppression and subjugation of Jim Crow. To Sarah Mary, her mother Pearlie Posey, her aunt Pecolia Warner, and the countless other quilt makers who lived lives under similar circumstances, we owe a debt of gratitude. Their artistry and contributions to the continuously evolving story of American quilts is immeasurable.